Throw a dart, hit the bullseye. It's the early line. That's how we get down. It's hour number one. The energy is high. It's Donnie Rightside. It's Joe Raineri. It's the SportsGrid Network setting the table for the rest of your SportsGrid day. Now, the New York Giants drafted a quarterback in Jackson Dart, hopefully thinking that, you know what? Sooner than later, he might be able to be our starting quarterback, but he was surrounded by veterans. Brought in Jameis Winston and also Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson's going to be the starter day one for the New York Giants as they take the field against the Washington Commanders. Now, the question comes up is, was Jackson Dart ready to go for the preseason? Was he ready to go for a training camp? He looked pretty good in those games, in training camp and also in preseason games. Enough to elevate him now, Joe, as the number 2 overall quarterback for the New York Giants. That looks good in my eyes because that means the kid's been ready, the kid's been performing, and has the backing of his teammates and also the coaching staff. You promised Russell Wilson to be the starting quarterback, and we're not saying that Jackson Dart should absolutely start on game number 1. I think it's the right decision to say, I don't think we're going to be that good this year. Let's just Russ take some of those bullets. By the time we're out of the playoff picture, and maybe close to being out of the playoff picture, we'll let Jackson Dart spin. So the question for me, Joe Raineri, is not, does Jackson Dart deserve to be the number 2? When do we actually see Jackson Dart as QB1 for the Giants?
Well, and also you got to give the Giants credit here because from the get-go, even when they signed him, and don't forget, they brought in Jameis and they brought in Russ way before they drafted Jackson Dart, but they have been steadfast, Donnie, from day one, explaining that, listen, he's not going to be the starting quarterback. Like they have actually, and I can't believe this, they've had a plan in place for how to develop him. And they have been very upfront about that, and they have stuck to that plan. Now, they did test him a lot in preseason. Dable threw him in a lot of different situations. I mean, it's not like they didn't test him. And again, he's not the starter. He's going to be the quarterback too. And quite honestly, I don't think you do that unless he's got the respect of that locker room and the players around him, because at some point, Russ is probably going to either get hurt or be so awful. Don't forget, Joe Schoen and Dable, that's a pretty hot seat right now with the Giants. So any signs of failure from Russ and Jackson Dart will be hopefully what saves Dable and Schoen and their jobs this season.
Yeah, the vets in the locker room, Joe, like they can sniff out a fraud right away. Like if a kid's coming in high and mighty, like let's just say a Johnny Manziel, like the guy's talented, but he puts in zero effort off the field and sabotages himself. You come in, you work hard, and you put up the results. Those players will follow quickly, specifically at a position like quarterback. We need to be the leader of the team. Certainly showing that in the locker room. We'll see when he gets in there as QB1 in this 2025 season. You know, he's going to be a starting wide receiver in Jacksonville. Hey, it's Travis Hunter. That's no surprise there. But the question to me always was, would he start on defense and play offense, or would he start on offense and play defense? And it looks like they're going to use him as a part-time cornerback, full-time wide receiver. Do we agree with that, Joe Raineri? One of the best cornerbacks in the draft is a part-time cornerback and a full-time wide receiver.
Absolutely, I agree with it because he serves a much better purpose offensively and a weapon for the guy you spent over $200 million to that might be the biggest fraud and bust in all of the NFL in the draft here over the last, 2 decades. And that is saying a lot. But I like it because, listen, you can throw him out there in certain packages and things along those lines where he'll be fine. But, yeah, I think he does a much better job and is much more suited to help them as a weapon on the outside more than because who knows is he really a shutdown corner against other NFL wide receivers, or was he just really that good because he played Colorado State? So I think he's a better wide receiver now than he is a defensive back and more value in that spot.
Taking the hits instead of delivering the hits here. We'll see how it plays out, but certainly ultra-talented kid, great wide receiver, great cornerback. We'll see how this maturation process continues throughout the 2025 season, but he will begin with that workload on offense and probably chip in on passing situations and late-game situations where you have to throw that nickel or dime defense out there. He'll certainly be a great addition to that Jacksonville defense. You know who else is going to be a starting wide receiver as a young cat in the NFL? Matthew Golden. Starting wide receiver on the Packers' unofficial Week 1 depth chart here. The Packers look to have a better wide receiver core than last year. The Packers looking to have a better defensive stance this year than last year, and had a pretty good defense as well. Things looking up for the Packers, including some explosive young wide receivers.
Yeah, and of course that made Romeo Doubs, right, expendable because, we have been talking about a pretty good group of young wide receivers now for Jordan Love in Green Bay for a couple of years. The problem was they couldn't stay healthy, right? And that was the issue. But now yet another one that has elevated himself to a number one spot there. And yeah, they got some weapons now. Forget about Parsons and the defense. They are stacked offensively and should be an interesting run here to see how they all fit together.
Now's the time the NFL starts to reward some of those players to use up that salary cap that you can flip over into the next season. The Bucs did it here with left tackle Luka Decky, reached an agreement on a 4-year extension worth $88 million. They lock up the big man on the right side here. Why? Because the left tackle, a little bit shaky to start the season, but not the right tackle down there in Tampa.
Yeah, what do we always say, right? There's a couple of positions that you need to spend the money on and you need to secure. And if you do, then chances are you're pretty good. You better protect your quarterback. You better have a quarterback to protect, and you better be able to get to the quarterback. And those three positions, lock them up, Donnie, and you're in pretty good shape in the NFL.
A couple other quick details here throughout the rest here. You got Gabe Davis back to the Buffalo Bills. We talked about that in 7-7, and Derek Harmon to miss week 1 versus the Jets here. The Steelers, down a man on that front line, but still a talented defense set up for week number 1. We're getting so close to this. By the way, that game there, I have a lot of interest to see how that Jets offense is going to go up against that Steelers defense, and more importantly, how Aaron Rodgers is going to be able to deliver a victory, possibly, and say, Jets, now with a real organization, I can pick up victories here. I can't wait for this stuff.
Yeah, well, I'm more interested on the flip side there, as I'm more interested to see if Aaron Rodgers gets up after getting hit by this Jets defense, because make no mistake, it's not like Pittsburgh revamped that offensive line. It's been an issue for a couple of years, and the Jets, they'll be coming after good old Aaron Rodgers. Let's see how that works out.
How about he returns back to the Meadowlands after 3 plays, goes down with another Achilles injury? My goodness, would that write the storylines at this point? But we'll see if he can stay upright and healthy for the season, because as always, Steelers aren't about winning championships anymore, Joe. It's about being over 500. Maybe Aaron Rodgers can help them do that. One more sleep till the NFL kicks off in Philadelphia. The world champion Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Dallas Cowboys. And by the way, that spread getting a little bit outrageous now at 8.5. We'll get to that in just a few moments. But at the start of an NFL season, a lot of bettors out there like, you know what? Let me just take the better team out there. Moneyline parlays here. Take them straight up. It doesn't matter. Did you know last year, Joe, 195-77 was the record for the favorites straight up last year against their counterparts, the underdogs. The favorites had their way last year. Now in betting and also in the history of sports, things usually get back to their level. Is this going to be the return of a lot more upsets, or are the favorites continue to beat down the underdogs here in 2025?
Yeah, if I remember correctly, it was one of the most profitable public betting seasons in the NFL in a long time. And those happen, but you know what else happens, Donnie? Is they very rarely have back-to-back winning seasons where the public cashes out. But it'll, September football is a little bit different than October, November, December NFL football. So let's see what we get early on. There's a lot of different trends that tell us in September, whatever we see in September, you don't spend a lot of time on it, because that has nothing to do. These football teams will not be the same come October and November, but remains to be seen if the public is going to be cashing as many tickets as they did last year.
How about 2 public quarterbacks going to tee it up tomorrow night? Dak Prescott on America's team here, all those commercials. Now there's Jalen Hurts, the new big dog on the block. 2 Super Bowls in the last couple of years, winning a Super Bowl MVP. He wants his respect. And he can certainly claim that once again on Thursday night. If you're looking at some of those prop bets here for Jalen Hurts, his passing yardage number, 212.5. Dak Prescott, 248.5. If we're taking a look at throwing touchdown passes, over 1.5, plus money on both guys in this game. Dak Prescott plus 112, Jalen Hurts plus 120. Who's the better quarterback tomorrow night? Not saying who's going to win the game, but who's going to perform better here to try to take down some of those props, in your opinion, Joe?
Well, I mean, listen, we told you that we're not expecting to sweat out an under in this game. We have seen the line move not only towards the Eagles after the Micah Parsons trade, but we've also seen the total start creeping up too to about 47.5, somewhere in that ballpark there. And listen, Dak, for all his faults, has done very well and has been an ATS machine when it comes to the NFC East. He has covered a ton of games. He wins these games. He stays within there. He's very good against his divisional opponents. It's later in the season that we tend to get issues with him. So I still say, I mean, at this point, Donnie, we're getting to the point where now it's 8.5. At some point, I still think the total is the way to go. But at some point, if this thing creeps up even more so, aren't we forced to have to take Dallas here at this point, getting that many points, even if you're an Eagles backer here?
Yeah, it's up there pretty good. And it's week number 1. It's the most squirrely week of the season. And then your mind plays tricks when you're heading into week number 2 because that team stunk last week. Wait, they're good now? Or that team was awesome last week. Now they're really not good this week. You're going to get those back and forths here, those mind games that you'll play. But if we take a look at the quarterbacks here and what the expectations are, sure, they can both throw 2 touchdown passes. But as I look right now just on FanDuel, Jalen Hurts, anytime touchdown market at a 165. Sometimes organizations, players, and teams could be vindictive. Oh, you wanted to get rid of the tush push this year? Watch this. Yeah. We'll run it 3 times inside the 3 and cruise into the end zone. So let me just ask you this question. New year, new money, as we like to say. Is it going to be the same old Philadelphia Eagles where Saquon Barkley does not get the football at the 1-yard line? Because the tush push is one of the best plays in football, short yardage conversion. And Jalen Hurts, if he gets on the goal line in the national stage, game number 1, he's ramming one in there, Joe, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's no doubt about that. If it ain't broke, right, they are not going to fix it here. Now, they do have a new OC, right? So Kellen Moore is gone, right, because he's in New Orleans. But I do believe, Donnie, they promoted Philadelphia from within, and I think it was the assistant to Moore there that ends up taking it off, Petula, right? So they're not going to, I don't know how much they're going to be playing. How much is he going to be playing around with what was already established? So I don't think we have to worry about them going off script because it's a new OC. I think if they're within the 2-yard line, you know exactly what you're getting there with Philadelphia.
Landon Dickerson also a full practice yesterday. So the big boys up the middle are ready to eat, apparently, on Thursday night. But if we do take a look at the standings here, or at least the odds market to win the NFC East, it's going through a lot of changes. And it will change right up till game time tomorrow before you get those final looks. You see the graphic up there, minus 145. Some outlets now posting a minus 150 price. The Dallas Cowboys here in third place with a 7-1 number. In second place, the Commanders there at a plus 220 price. And the Giants at 16-1. So in a division that's not used to the same team winning division back-to-back, the Eagles are the heavy favorites to do just that, Joe.
They are. But again, we're getting to the point now where it's, very key numbers here, right? We thought 7 is where it would stay. It was 6.5. Then the trade happened. And now it's like, oh, boy, here we go. I mean, Dallas is not inept offensively in any way, shape, or form. They are loaded. You got Pickens, you got CeeDee Lamb, you got Ferguson. This is not a team that is going to be hard in shootouts to be able to put points up there. It'll be interesting to see where this defense of Philadelphia is in game 1, but I'm still thinking we're getting a ton of points in this game. I think both offenses will outduel the defenses in this game.
Yeah, we'll find out, and obviously sooner than later because this game's going to kick off tomorrow night. But the weather looks decent, and also from that defensive vantage point, Micah Parsons is a game wrecker. He's not there. You take a look at the Philadelphia Eagles, still struggling right now through training camp. Who's that third cornerback going to be? You're pretty set with the young kids on the outside in the slot, but there's one cornerback spot that's left to be desired. That defensive line for the Philadelphia Eagles did lose some key pieces in the offseason. Vic Fangio is still there, but as we know, George Pickens, CeeDee Lamb, that should be good enough to get some offense there with Dak Prescott against the Philadelphia Eagles, even if it's in the second half to sort of mount that charge. The one thing we know about the Eagles, that offense is intact. That offense should kick butt against anybody. So if you're looking for the Philadelphia Eagles to be in the high 20s here, that's probably going to carry the day and get you as close as possible to that mid-40s, high 40s number to hit the total in the game. Should be fun to watch and also should be fun to handicap. Week one. Oh, it sounds like a lot of fun, and it will be. Starts tomorrow night, Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Dallas Cowboys. Then we get to Friday Night Football and the Kansas City Chiefs and the Los Angeles Chargers. But the Week 1 slate, It just looks fantastic at this point. Me being an Eagles fan, of course, I'm really excited for that game that's going to take place on Thursday night. I love the fact that I don't have to wait till Sunday after that to get another football game, and you give me a banger on a Friday night. And then the rest of the card fills out on Sunday, and then Sunday night football, and then Monday night football. If you're looking at that slate week number 1, Joe, like being a fan of certain teams, yes. But outside of, let's just say, the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles for me, I love Friday night's game. But also, when I start to peer into that 4 o'clock window, Detroit and Green Bay is going to be awesome. Baltimore Ravens, Buffalo Bills, fantastic. Is there a certain game, Joe, these guys, you know what? I don't care what I'm doing or what games I'm betting. I got to sit down and watch this game this weekend.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of very interesting ones here. I think the Washington Giant game is going to be extremely interesting. I know that McLaurin, who signed the new contract here a couple of weeks ago, right? 3 years, $87 million. And everyone is just expecting unbelievable things from this Washington team. And meanwhile, they're expecting nothing from the Giants. But I think the Giants are very much alive in this game, and I think they're very much alive to maybe win some games they're not supposed to. I'm not necessarily buying all the hype with Washington, but we'll see. We'll know a pretty good idea, a good litmus test with these two teams coming up on Sunday.
I'll tell you, good litmus test going to get off right off the bat, and that's Friday Night Football. That is the West, the AFC West, and that's Patrick Mahomes and it's Justin Herbert. Neutral site game, which if you're Kansas City, you got to love. You don't have to go to Los Angeles in front of their crowd. This game opened up around a 2.5-point spread here in the summer, but now we're sitting at 3s, Joe, across the board, and a total of 45.5. I always get nervous when you play overseas because, as I bring up last year, I remember watching the Philadelphia Eagles take on the Green Bay Packers and saying, I'm not going to grade either one of these teams. Whoever wins is just a war of attrition. The field is terrible, and good luck to the victors. And it was the Philadelphia Eagles, which gave them a bonus because they got a victory over an NFC opponent that you might see in the playoffs, and they did. And the Eagles had home field advantage, and that game with a win helped them get that. Now we take a look at Kansas City and the Los Angeles Chargers. Divisional game, but it's a neutral site and technically a road team for both teams. I don't know if that surface is going to be an ice skating rink like it was last year, but that certainly could play into it. But looking at the favorite, Joe, do you agree on a neutral site, the Kansas City Chiefs should be favored by about a field goal, and also the expectations for this game for you?
Absolutely, it should be a favorite. Listen, I think you should. There's some questions here with the Chargers, right? I mean, losing Slater like they did in training camp is just absolutely brutal. That is your blindside protector of Justin Herbert. He is no longer there. You brought in Najee Harris because you wanted to have this ability to be able to run downhill on teams, right? Well, they say he's available, but because he had a 4th of July eye injury, he hasn't played at all in the preseason. So how good and effective is he really going to be? And then on the flip side, Donnie, why did Kansas City have Mahomes and the starters actually play legit minutes in all 3 preseason games? I wonder why that is. I think they'll be ready to come out firing. I think they're bent on how it ended last year and getting blown out by Philly. I think they come out swinging in this one.
Yeah, ticket count pretty close, too. 55% of the tickets coming in on Kansas City as the favorites in this one, and a total that's listed at 45.5. But I'm just interested to see how that field conditions add up, because I always like to joke around, and it's true. Like, you play the Kansas City Chiefs in a Super Bowl where you can't get a pass rush, Kansas City moves the football. You play the Kansas City Chiefs in a place where a defense can get footing in a pass rush, you can smash the Kansas City Chiefs. But also understand this, a lot of changes made on that Chargers team. That defense doesn't look as formidable as it has in the past couple of years, and it's a shame that Rashee Rice is down, because if he didn't get suspended to weeks 4 or 5, I would like to get a look at that trio and what we can expect there. Kelsey, you're probably going to be the best version of himself early in the season as opposed to later in the season, but I do think the Kansas City Chiefs end up winning that football game, which then brings us up to, if the Chiefs do win, they get a leg up on the Chargers. And you're looking at the divisional standings here in the odds race, it is the Chiefs as a favorite at a minus 110 price. That's low. It's always been way higher than that, which means the Broncos, Chargers, and Raiders with legitimate chances to win the division. Well, maybe not the Raiders so much, but looking at the Chargers and the Broncos, this could go a long way. You get a Chargers upset in this game over Kansas City. Now we're talking some fun out there in the West.
Anybody's game, right? But I'll say it again. We've done this year after year after year for 2 decades with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, and we keep expecting the wheels to fall off, and it just does not happen. So a motivated Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid in Kansas City trying to erase the bad taste in their mouth is not a good thing for Denver, the Chargers, or the Raiders, I think, this year.
Big play efforts here for the Chiefs. That's what their calling card was when they had Tyreek Hill. Do we get back to that more? Do we see Patrick Mahomes, the gunslinger, 5-step drops, 7-step drops, airing it out? Because you got speed at wide receiver, and those guys are no longer young on that side. I just am interested to see what that game plan is on Friday night. Or is it, hey, let's run Pacheco, let's keep it close and play that Chiefs football that I hate over the past couple of years is, hey, Kansas City, you know you can score more points. You don't have to be up just 2 points the whole game. I want to see if their mindset changes and that gas pedal starts to come back out once again.
Well, it will. I mean, because they have Worthy, right? So Worthy is a guy that, like Tyreek Hill, is going to be able to stretch the field, and defenses are going to have to be very, very worried. So does that open up other things underneath? How involved is Kelsey early on? But yeah, I'm with you. Is it going to be 12 and 13, play drives and just milk the clock? Or is it going to be 1 or 2 play drives and 70-yard touchdown passes? We'll see.
And as we take a look at that offense here for the Los Angeles Chargers, Keenan Allen back in the fold. We talked about Gabe Davis going home to Buffalo. Keenan comes back to L.A. McConkey's a very good slot wide receiver. And then there's Brick Hands Johnston out on the outside on one side. Hampton is a very good, young, talented running back. They look to have another running back in their fold here, Joe, that might be running the football like this during the game, but he feels like he's ready to go. I love this because we don't know about these two football teams until they get on the football field and see how they play out. Sometimes week number 1, fantastic opportunities to bet in-game. Don't leave that out of the equation. Like, man, keep it up at the Chargers. They look terrible in the first quarter. Well, maybe you should have waited that out and see how actually they would play in week number 1 and those field conditions. Right back out of here on a Wednesday. It's a hump day on the SportsGrid Network. We are setting the table, getting you ready for the rest of your SportsGrid program throughout the day, and most importantly, getting you set up for this week's NFL action. Donnie Rightside, Joe Raineri. Now we bring in George Kurtz. You can see him on Fantasy Sports Today this Friday, 3 p.m. with Craig Mish. He's always around the channels. It's great to have him on the early line to sort of kick off football season. What's up, George?
Well, what's up? You mentioned, 34 hours and change now till the Cowboys and Eagles will kick off tomorrow night here, and then pretty much tell them I'm going to be a miserable human being.
I can't wait to wait to happen here. And again, starting in the land of the Super Bowl champions, and away we go, George. Let me ask you this question right off the bat. The talk, obviously hot topics on the Dallas Cowboys. We saw that line over the summer. Let's call it 6.5. We're now over the touchdown threshold. 8s and 8.5s are in the marketplace. Micah Parsons isn't there. Jerry Jones says they're a better football team now. Your expectations for the Dallas Cowboys on Thursday night and then playing into the regular season?
Listen, I think when you look at the Dallas Cowboys, even if they had Micah, they were unlikely to be a playoff team, maybe a last wild card team at best, right? They weren't going to compete with the Philadelphias, Detroits of the world in the NFC. That wasn't going to happen. They weren't really built that way. Now, without Micah, theoretically, the run defense should be better. Kenny Clark should make them better, but that's about it. This team doesn't have much of a running game here, right? I think when you look at the Cowboys, you're looking at a team that's going to score a lot of points. So you're looking at Dak Prescott props, right? His passing props should get there. His passing attempts should get there. CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens should have good years. Same thing with Jake Ferguson. But that's what you look at. You're looking at points coming in these Dallas games. Look for the overs there because they're not going to win games 17-14. They're going to have to win them 35-31. Just the way it's going to be for the Cowboys this year until Jerry Jones can fix the defense there without Micah. But that was true even with Micah. It wasn't going to make much of a difference, not this year here. So I don't expect things to go well for the Cowboys tomorrow night, even with or without Micah. You're playing Philadelphia. They're getting the rings, raising the banner at home Thursday night, first game of the NFL season. Bad place to be.
Yeah, I mean, but they did get a pretty good run stopper from Green Bay, all things considered. It was their bugaboo from a year ago, right? The secondary is going to be a little bit better than it was last year. You bring in Eberflus, who, as a head coach, we know, total disaster. But as a DC, George, you gotta give the guy some credit here, man. And how exactly tight is this Philadelphia offense going to be right off the bat here? I don't know. We do know Dak loves the NFC East. He's got a great record against them. Is this really a blowout here in game one in this spot?
I don't think it's a blowout. I think Dallas could get a backdoor cover as well, by the way. Now, you're right. Dak Prescott against the Eagles, Giants, Commanders, his record's fantastic. Generally, he does play very well. But the bugaboo for Dak has been doesn't play well in big games. So what do we believe tomorrow? It is an NFC East, but it's also a big game, right? I mean, it would be open the NFL season. It's where Dak generally doesn't play well when the spotlight is on him here. The offensive line is a work in progress. That Eagles defensive line is good, really good here. It may not be New York Giants good, but it's good. So I think they'll put pressure on Dallas. Tyler Guyton looks like he will play tomorrow. All right, so will Trayvon Diggs, it looks like. Once again, they're trending in the right direction to play tomorrow, so that should help the Cowboys there. For the Eagles, their offensive line also been a little banged up this offseason here, but looks like Dickerson is going to play as well. So both teams are about as healthy as they can be entering game one here. Honestly, I wouldn't show you Dallas got a backdoor cover. They score a touchdown late, and they cover the I got it at 7. Maybe you're at 7.5, 8, whatever it might be here. So I wouldn't shock me there. Still, if I'm betting this game, maybe I don't want to lay 8, 8.5 here. I think it's a good parlay opportunity. Take the Eagles. Plenty of baseball tomorrow night. You know, I'm going to be one who's going to take the Eagles, and I'll find a baseball game I like to parlay it.
Put it with there. I liked it, George, man. Looking for extra options. And by the way, Dak Prescott, when he's played the Philadelphia Eagles in the regular season, he's a pretty good quarterback. They got some weapons out there. The Eagles still looking for that third quarterback to step up. Maybe they have some advantages in that secondary. We'll certainly find. What a show on a Hump Day Wednesday right here on the early line on the Sports Grid Network. And keep in mind, once again, tomorrow morning, yes, we will be here bright and early, just a little bit earlier on your television screen, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. And that's not just a one-day thing. That's Monday through Friday from here on out during the football season and into the beyond until it changes again. So 7 to 9 a.m., keep that on the calendar tomorrow. Make sure you're waking up early. It's Donnie Rightside, it's Joe Raineri. The same fun you'll have, just an hour early to get that news for you there. Now is the time of the show, Joe. We like to reach out to the people and get an opinion to see if we need to fade the public or back the public. Here's the Fade the Public poll. Simplicity, Joe, that's what we love. And at the Sports Grid Network, at Sports Grid on X, we asked the question today of our Fade the Public poll. That question, will Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers defeat the Jets in week number 1? Did you know that Aaron Rodgers and the Jets are traveling to the Meadowlands to play the New York Jets in week number 1? Well, they are. I think the public's getting it right now. The yes button was smashed 68% of the time compared to the no button at 31%. I agree. I'm not fading the public. I think the Steelers are a better team. Not saying the Steelers would be great this season, but better than the Jets week number 1. I said yes. I backed the public, Joe.
You really? Is this what you had to do? You had to put me in the spot. The only Jet fan here in the area, and you want me to comment on whether the public is wrong in backing. Of course they're wrong backing Pittsburgh. Are you guys out of your mind? So I get home. Wait. I get a home dog catching a field goal when I've got two teams that are built from the defensive side to the offensive side. Only I have the younger and more athletic quarterback, while you got a 42-year-old stuck in the mud that's going to get absolutely destroyed. Yeah, I'll take the points with the home dog. I'm fading that public here, Donnie.
Wait, what are we running? 50 times in this game for the Jets. By the way, I will take, to be honest, if good pass rush, that certainly is going to be able to get home for the Steelers. That means more opportunities to run out of the pocket for Justin Fields. That's the action that I want to take this Sunday at 1 o'clock. But a fun public poll there. Aaron Rodgers returns home to a team where he didn't do much for when the expectations were really high for the Jets. Maybe the Jets can repay that favor and say, aha! This is why we sent you packing and on your way, buddy. New regime in town for the Jets. We'll see if it works out in week number 1.